In this episode of Expedition Almost Zimbabwe, Joe points out Zambia.
That is Zambia.
Graham goes fishing.
I've had one knock the whole afternoon.
Sean sets up a trail cam.
Just looking for a game trail to put up a little trail cam.
And I have a bath.
Best bath I've ever had.
Today, like all the other days so far, has been good. We had a great swim in the, what was the river's name? Muronga. A beautiful baptism of cold water to bless the start to a great day. We left Matusadona and wound our way from Matusadona through the Omar rural area into Chizarira. And now we are here and it is spectacular. I keep saying it, but we're so incredibly lucky to do this. Get out there, guys. This country's incredible. Travel it, see it, support it. I have shivers it's words don't do it justice, and I know that sounds corny, but it's true.
I think this is the best place I've ever stood.
As soon as Buck and I arrived and saw the Miombo woodland everywhere, we knew we would be spending our next and our first morning in Chizarira squirrel watching. So we did the chores that we needed to do around camp. We made sure everything was ready for the game drive we were going to do later, and we set out squirrel watching.
My God, look at that beauty. Special little guy.
After a very successful squirrel watching session, we went back to camp and was introduced to an altogether different kind of beast.
Graham, what's happened?
The national parks tractor that came to deliver water, they couldn't start their vehicle. We were about to go on a game drive. And old tractor got a life of its own and has jumped forward and on its own crashed into the Hilux. We needed a bit of adventure and a bit of moments, and there's one of them. So, yeah, new door for the Hilux.
Joe, who was the first witness on the scene, is able to give us a detailed account.
We were supposed to meet at 3 for a game drive. Buck and I had gone off for an afternoon snooze at another viewpoint, epic. Saw a squirrel, epic! Came back, parked right here. I packed some tea stuff for our game drive, put it in the car, turned and walked away, heard this. Then I heard Buck say beep, 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 a whole list of expletives that I won't be able to repeat on camera. Graham said, oh. I turned around. The Chizarira tractor had rolled into the Toyota. Disaster. Chins dropped, hands went on hips, heads were shaking. On closer inspection, the damage is not that bad. A door is scrunched and crunched, but there's 3 more, so that's okay. And I think it's purely cosmetic. I don't think we're going to have a problem driving. I think the driver's just going to have to climb over the passenger seat, and all will be well.
No game drives for us this afternoon.
In Zimbabwe, when you want to claim insurance, you need to fill out a police report. This meant that we had to go and find the nearest policeman. The nearest policeman was not very near. Obviously, this all took a tremendous amount of time. So to cut a long story short, Joe and I ended up having to sleep the night above the tractor.
My. The next morning, the park staff worked their magic, started the tractor, removed it from the vehicle, and all just in time to keep up with Graham's schedule. The car drove just fine. It looked a little different, but it was fine. So sadly, it was time to go.
We've had 2 days in Chizarira. We had a reasonably eventful day yesterday. So as a result, we didn't get into the park and do the walking and the drives that we had planned, just because the Hilux is the 4-door vehicle. But we're gonna head off to Chete today.
Unfortunately, we'd spent a lot of our quality time that had been allocated to Chizarira in the car park of our campsite. To be honest, I didn't really mind though. The views are so spectacular and the drive out was incredible. The cathedral of trees is unlike anything I have ever seen before. Highly recommend it. Can't say enough about it. And so on we had to go to the Chete safari area. Right there is where the Zambezi flows into Lake Kariba. That is Zambia. We're in Chete Safari area. And that you can hear is the Zambian Kapenta boat fleet starting up for the night's fishing.
The following day, we headed out to a wilderness campsite on the Ruzi River. We had been granted permission from the area manager to camp the night there.
There's a very curious and rather large crocodile that keeps popping up and shaking his head at us. It's not the best feeling in the world to have a crocodile watching you.
This was what we thought would be an ideal spot to rake out the fishing rods and try and catch some fish for the first time on the trip.
Right, buckles. Well, good, mate.
Do you want tea?
Take your time.
Graham, what's happened with the fishing?
I've had one knock the whole afternoon. I think the whole party's had one knock the whole afternoon.
Sean eventually lost interest in the fishing and decided to set up a trail camp.
We're just looking for a game trail to put up a little trail cam and just see if we can pick up some of the secretive animals that come out at night. Your little civets, jennets, maybe porcupines or honey badger. We'll see. So we just got the SD card out from the trail camera and we're going to find out what we've picked up so far during the night. Yeah, no, that's a wild animal that you got to be careful of.
Having had no luck with the fish, no luck with the game, and having no days left on the schedule, we had to push on to hit the next growth point, fill up with fuel, resupply the food stores, and head on to the next destination. About halfway between the Kariba lakeshore towns of Milavizi and Binga is a super neat, super clean fishing retreat called Mabwe Bay. Mabwe welcomes dusty travelers such as ourselves, so that is exactly where we were headed towards. Yeah, good day. We left Chete this morning. We stopped off at Binga, checked out the hot springs. Anticlimatic's the wrong word because it was an event, just was not at all what I was expecting. And we've just arrived in Mabwe. We had a very warm welcome from Richard and Margot. As I arrived, I said to Margot, cool spot, eh? And she said, it's paradise. So good to be in paradise for the night. Yeah, all good, all good, all good. Just another day on the road and the Mapani flies are out, but could be worse.
Mabwe Bay is a self-catering camping facility. You have beautiful views of the lake. There's access to electricity, clean bathrooms, clean showers. If you don't want to camp, there is chalets with beds and fresh bedding and a lot of comfort if you're a bit tired of being on the road. The fishing apparently is really phenomenal as well, according to Margot and Richard. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do any fishing. There was a tight schedule to keep to, and we needed to get going. So our trip to Lake Kariba on the fishing front was completely unsuccessful. We did not catch a single fish.
Even though nothing really went to plan and no fish were caught, but I blame the fishermen. We really loved this area of Zimbabwe. It's lesser visited, it's way off the beaten track, but so important that you and I and all of us keep supporting these places, keep visiting, so they can stay wild and we can continue to support the communities around them.
Next time on Expedition Almost Zimbabwe.
There are frickin' thousands of Egyptian geese.
What do you think of this trip?
I don't know. Well, I looked first, then had a squeal because it's a snake.
We had a wonderful time here in Victoria Falls.
Smudgy, purpley blue, and everything's all good.